All right, let me bring out my guest right now on Sidebar. The MP for Nyeri town, Ngunjiri Wambugu, is back with us. Welcome back.
Thank you, Larry.
He's laughing because there's a whole conversation that were beginning just as we came back. And the Senator for the great people of Narok, Ledama, Kina, is also back with us. Asante sana.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, before we talk about this, there's some drama coming from your coalition. Elected coast leaders from NASA up in arms over a list of the coalition's parliamentary leaders announced today because they say they were not consulted. So, Suba South MP John Badi has been named minority leader in the National Assembly. Robert Mbuya of Kadhiani is his deputy, and Junet Mohammed MP Suna East as minority whip. Kiminini MP Chris Wamalwa has been appointed Mohammed's deputy. And Muturi on Wednesday directed the leader of majority and minority to expedite the formation of House committees, but NASA says it will not take part in the committee on appointments and will not vet President Kenyatta's nominees.
Ni lazima tutumiwe mahali ambako sisi tutakuwa na manufaa. Kama hatuna manufaa, sisi hatutokubali kutumiwa. Na tuna imani ya kwamba katika mrengo wa NASA tuliweka nguvu zetu, ni lazima tupate faida zetu.
Sisi kama kina mama tumepigana sana katika kutetea muungano wa NASA na katika kutetea manifesto na principles za NASA. Sisi kama kina mama, last regime, ile last parliament, that was the 11th parliament, katika NASA coalition hatukuwa na mwanamke katika 4 leadership position. The Jubilee walikuwa na mama Naomi Shabani katika leadership ile ya watu wanne. 12th parliament, 12th parliament ya sasa, Jubilee wamemweka Cecil Mbarire, mwanamke Cecil Mbarire. Sisi katika chama chetu pia hakuna kina mama.
It is a clear testimony that in NASA there is no internal democracy, and we are going to resist. And we have resisted from within.
Thank you.
Within NASA, they are resisting from within. Senator, what is happening in NASA?
First of all, let me just say that I also do not agree with the process which was used. And I want to state here categorically that that list which was submitted is not the authentic list. I think the best way to do things is for you to call a PG, for everyone to be happy. We've got to change the face of NASA. We've got supporters from the Maasai community. We've got supporters from the Coast region. We've got supporters from the Luya Nation. We've got supporters from the Luya Nation. And I think for us to be able to show that we are mature politicians, we must exercise inclusivity, and we also have to be careful about the kind of war that we are waging forward. Because when we start fighting, then Kina Ngunjiri will be very happy. In fact, I know right now they are clapping. They're saying, you see, we told you guys, these guys are not organized. So what I can say is that I'm actually embarrassed by what happened today. And I just want to urge our NASA supporters to remain calm. There's no point of alarm in shifting alliances, but also let the Kenyans know that we are going to shelve that list away. We are going to sit down and agree so that we can also change the face of NASA. Because
according to this list, at least what I have seen, has Moses Wetangula as the majority leader in the Senate and James Orengo as the deputy, I believe.
Yes.
And you had offered yourself up initially as a candidate for
the whip.
For the whip.
Yes.
And what happened?
And I was actually promised that I was going to be given a position. So, but here, what I'm saying is that we must sit down, and what is rightfully mine must be given to me. What is rightfully for the other region, I think we've got to put things in perspective. We've got to balance the regions. You know, Kenya has 43 or 45 ethnic groups. You know where your support base is. And I know the Maasai sitting where they are sitting, they expect that Ledama will be given a leadership position. I know the coast people where they are, they expect that somebody from the coast will be given a position. Even in Suba, I know they expect that Junet will be given. So there are various ways for us to be able to handle these issues instead of causing infighting.
Right.
But what I know as a fact is that those lists, particularly the list for the Senate, has been set aside for us to be able to consult, have a PG, and then now agree.
There are only a couple of positions, though. It's not possible to give somebody a representative of every community.
You're right, but you've got to also have a face of NASA.
All right.
What is the face of NASA? You know, there's no way you can say I'm giving all position to one region. You've got to do that regional balancing as well.
Okay.
Yes.
The way Jubilee handled this, which again, internally within Jubilee, some people had an issue with it. There was a parliamentary group meeting. The president and the deputy, who were the party leader and the deputy party leader, brought all the people together and said, this is who will be your majority leader. This is who will be your whip. This is who will be the majority leader in the Senate. And some people within Jubilee did not like that either.
Of course. I mean, as you said, usually in Parliament, the parliamentary leadership positions are very few. As you saw, NASA got 4 in Parliament today, and you have, what, 100 people or 80 people, and somehow you have to, so some people are not going to be happy. I think the difference with Jubilee is that the people who wanted those positions and did not get them were able to see that the people who got those positions, those are an uneven balance. The gender balance was there, the regional balance was there. So even when you're complaining, when you're unhappy as an individual for not getting the position, you realize it had to go to someone. And it went to a person you actually cannot fight about. And then we actually did have a parliamentary group meeting. So
did you agree on this, or was it handed down from the party leadership and you were told this is who will be your leaders in the Senate and the National Assembly?
It was two phases. It was two phases. First and foremost, you had the people who had actually wanted to run all sat down and discussed. And there was that issue. Some people were stepping off even before we actually got to the point where the leadership had to make a decision. But then once we got to the point where you have 2 people who both want one position, then you, in fact, I remember what happened is that people actually went and sat, the candidates went and sat with the leadership. And then they came back, and when both people were there and they said, we've agreed, so-and-so is going to take this position, and so-and-so is not going to be able to take this position. And the people who are mentioned, you know how this goes. When the president mentions your name, you stand up and you say, yeah, that's okay.
Yes.
That's the way it has gone. So that, and it's never come up again. We've never had the people who had wanted positions going back and saying, I was not treated fairly. Because we also don't know what conversation they had in there. But they did actually have a conversation.
There are no people resisting from within.
No. We have no people resisting.
But
all the resistance is on that side.
In all fairness, I think depending on which side of government you are in, whether in your position or you're in government, there are different methodology which should be used in terms of rewarding these leaderships. Because I'm sure most people from Jubilee, now that they're holding on to power until the day we remove them, people have hope that they will be considered elsewhere. So it is easy for them when their party leader comes in and says, okay, this is it, this is the way it is, they know that they will not be left out. So all we're asking is this: I want us to remain firm together. And the only way we can remain firm together is for everyone's input to be taken into consideration. Right. Is for people to be given an opportunity to express their interest and also to say, this is a constituency that I represent. And this is what they're looking forward to.
NASA is now saying that they will not participate in the committee on appointments. They will not be involved in vetting President Kenyatta's cabinet nominees. So why did you get elected? Elected or elections are very different things. Raila Amolo Odinga stated clearly that he won the election of the 8th, and that is the only election that he actually considered to be an election. Whether we went to court and we won the petition. During that time, there were specific court orders which were given that opened the server. If you listen to Raila the other day when we were tear gassed by these guys in Jacaranda, after Sonko and all his goons poured a lot of human feces and takataka all over, he made one point very clear, that we were given, we do not recognize this government. Okay? When they amended the laws, the election amendment laws, we never participated in them. So if we are not happy with the formation of the government, why should we? It will be hypocritical for us to go in and say, we now want to be part of the committee that is vetting the cabinet, yet we say we do not recognize the current government. The vetting process in the last term, some people, a lot of observers had issues with the fact that because Jubilee even then enjoyed what is called a tyranny of numbers, almost all the appointments, all the nominees went through. Because when it came to voting, Jubilee could take control of that. Without NASA now pushing back, that means almost everybody who's presented for vetting will go through. Actually, not almost. Everybody who is presented for vetting will go through. One of the challenges, and one of the things I find as beating about the bush with, is this whole idea of how democracy works. How democracy works is, if you actually get numbers in parliament, then those numbers are supposed to make it easier for you to implement the policies that you have. Part of the policies means, I want so-and-so to be my cabinet secretary for finance. And I have numbers to whip enough to actually pass that person. It would be nice if, I mean, they still will not make a difference. And part of the reason why I think they're not coming is because they won't make a difference. But I wish, first and foremost, I am not, personally, I really do not want NASA to break down.
Because this country needs for us to have political competition, not just at elections. We need to have a challenge of ideas. When you listened to the president yesterday, he said what we were having in the elections was a competition of visions.
Yes.
We need that competition to continue. We need, when you have, for example, when the budget is brought, you want NASA to come up and say, no, here, me, I would have done this. That way, everybody stays sharp. If we have a situation where the opposition is dead, then actually you get lethargy, you get complacency. So for us and for the country, we do actually need a strong opposition. But then they really do need to get the democracy issues sorted out. Because 4 years ago I wrote an article where I said that the D in ODM is silent, and I got really hit. Saying that there's supposed to be orange democratic movement.
Yes.
There's absolutely no democracy. It's taken close to 6 years for guys to actually admit. You have Mombasa and the coast region, which, I mean, give it to them. They have stood with NASA. I mean, for example, Mombasa is 100% ODM at county assembly level. So they have a point when they say, you guys are treating us badly. You can't go and get leadership. We have to. I looked at that list, and there are two people. There are two people from Nyanza, and you're like, these are the guys who've been claiming that Jubilee is a two-community government, which is not true. But here we are seeing them. They're not even in government, and they can't divide positions effectively.
I think just to respond on that.
Really quickly, sir.
I strongly believe that we do have democracy in NASA. Because when I'm not happy about something, I will pick up my phone and I'll call Raila and I'll tell him. If there was not, and he will listen to me. If someone else is not happy, they will call someone else in the party and they will listen to him. Because we are not dictated upon. It is rather unfortunate that this issue of party leadership or Senate leadership or National Assembly leadership was presented in a way that can be perceived by Jubilee by other people as being undemocratic, but I want to state it categorically that we are very democratic. In our PGs, you stand and you say your points. You guys, on the other hand, your party leader comes in and say, this is the way or the highway. Oh no, that's not how it works. You know Ngunjiri. But the only difference is that us guys don't take our dirty linen to the public. True. We wash it in-house, deal with it there. In-house, and we finish. I mean, there are different ways of skinning a cat. So, I mean, if we chose to vent, take it public, you know, we also we have constituencies that we represent. Yeah, so they also have to admit that we elected the right kind of people.
Okay. Let's leave it there for the moment. I want to come back and talk about what the job for President Kenyatta is in this second term and talk about that speech, what he said and what he did not say. First, though, a quick break on Sidebar. All right, welcome back to Sidebar. There's a question for you, Honorable Ngunjiri. Mohammed Ahmed asked Ngunjiri if his petition against the judges at the Supreme Court is still standing now that his small god charade is upheld by the same judges.
You see, the unfortunate part about where that my friend and fellow Kenyan is coming from is the assumption that my petition had anything to do with my God, as he says it. I know and you heard the president say yesterday that one of the things we're going to have to work on is find how to get the judiciary to work with the executive to get staff implementation of it. So people are not using the judiciary as an obstacle to get work done. And I think that is where I was coming from with my petition from day one. It was that thing of what is the philosophy that is driving the judiciary? Is it aligned to the philosophy that runs this country? So it has nothing to do with my small God as he thinks, but I'm quite happy that Chief Justice Maraga redeemed himself, as we had the former Prime Minister tell him the first time with the nullification. I think we've made progress. I think we are not as scared of a judiciary that is not thinking of the broad picture. Because here we went, they made a decision. I was hoping that they would actually at least condemn the fact that the people who went to court to get them to nullify the first election decided not to run for the next election. So some of the actions I want to see coming from the judiciary, and we agree they're independent. I mean, that one is there's no country in the world that can argue that our judiciary is not independent. But then also, I guess we also proved something to the world, that we are a mature democracy.
Do you only like the judiciary when it rules your way?
People tend to like people when they do things their way, but that doesn't mean that you only agree to the orders that are made when they come your way. And again, this is another point that we need to agree. The fact I might dislike you because you rule against me, but that doesn't remove me from the law. We are not going to argue that I like the judiciary when it doesn't rule my way. I'm not going to like it when it doesn't rule my way.
But do you have to remove it just because you disagree?
So
you have a petition against
the
judges of the Supreme Court.
It's not even about removing them. In fact, that petition has never actually got heard. And my argument here is, and this is a fundamental thing that we need to agree on. I might not like you, Larry, but I'm going to respect the work you do. And if you make a decision, for example, you might ask me right now a question I don't like. But that doesn't mean I'm going to, and I might be very unhappy about it and get out of here very upset. But that doesn't mean I'm going to disrespect your work. Or I'm going to walk away out of the rules that we have agreed. The judiciary is an institution of our country. Okay. They made a ruling that the president did not like. He followed it. They made a ruling that the former prime minister did not like. He refused to accept it. That's where we should be talking. That's what we should be talking about.
But he was not in court. No. He was not in court this time.
Which one? I'm talking about the fact that we have a situation where the Supreme Court has made a ruling that Uhuru Kenyatta was validly elected. He has refused to accept that ruling.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Before you review, he has actually gone a step further and decided not only is he not going to agree, you know, any Kenyan, even in America, there are guys who still do not agree that Trump is the president.
Right.
That doesn't stop Trump from working. But then what the competitor of Uhuru Kenyatta has decided is that he's actually going to go and try and swear himself in.
So before you respond, Senator, now that the Supreme Court upheld the election of President Kenyatta the second time, will Jubilee still revisit the judiciary? You
see, our problem with the judiciary was not because of this decision. We are at a situation where we're looking and asking ourselves, we have a judiciary. How many cases? We had close to 50 cases that went towards working and disrupting the work of the IEBC. By the time we got to where we were, by the time they nullified the election, they had actually been players in the process of getting to where we were. And the question comes and says, we need to sit down and look at the judiciary. And as I said, is it aligned to the national conversations that we're having as a country?
Let me ask you a question. You know, I find it very hypocritical and selfish in the part of Jubilee that some of them, because not all of them, fought for this constitution. And Article 3 of the Constitution is very clear. Every person has a right to defend the Constitution. So why is it bad that we had about 50 cases which are trying to disrupt this? We're in a democracy. If I feel that the Constitution is being violated, you know, it doesn't matter who I am or which part of the divide I support, I have the right to go to court.
True.
So I think it is wrong for Jubilee to actually say that since now Maraga ruled in our favor, we agree he's one of us.
No, nobody has said that.
No, because you don't really have to say it, but your action speaks louder.
Nobody
because
has said
when
that.
he ruled against you, when he ruled against Jubilee and nullified the presidential election, you are out there in the street telling Kenyans how you're going to revisit, calling them wakora.
Now,
the problem that I have actually, and this is one thing that I want to respond to you, is that we as NASA only participated in the 8th elections. August 8th is under Article 2, I think 236 of the Constitution, where we had an election where for governor, senator, president, all that. That is the election that we participated in.
And you got elected.
I got elected, and I thank the people of Narok for doing that. We never participated in the election of the 26th. So it is not right for Jubilee to come and say, why should Raila not accept the verdict of the court on the 26th when we are not party to it?
Let me tell you a story. A lot of people did not participate on the elections of the 8th. A lot of people.
For the 8th?
For the 8th.
Okay.
There are people who would have wanted to run against you who did not run.
No, they did. I had 3 competitors, my friend.
You had 3. You could have gotten 10. I had 8. So the fact that somebody did not run,
I just tell you I was more popular than you are.
No. I got 71% of my vote. What percentage did you get?
I defeated the second person. No,
my brother, I actually read up.
50 something, 50.
There you are.
50 something.
So what the point I'm making is the fact that somebody doesn't run in an election doesn't mean he's not going to respect it. That's you guys keep talking about. Let me finish. Let me finish. You guys keep talking about the Constitution and the need to respect the Constitution. You don't cherry pick.
Okay.
What part of the Constitution you want to
like that.
Because you can't then decide that because you agree with this part of the Constitution, we are very candid. We're able to say we don't like this one.
Okay.
But we are going to respect it. Why? Because it is the law.
Ngunjiri, my brother, let me ask you. when we are turning, when the Jubilee administration is turning the police service into a police force, violating Article 239, Article 36, Article 37, Article 238, Article 244 of the Constitution. Are you guys not cherry picking which one you're doing? Why were we tear gassed? No, let me just answer.
Because you guys were being unruly.
I'm being unruly, my friend. I was in Jacaranda when Raila was addressing our supporters. Immediately Raila finished talking, they started throwing tear gas and shooting us, coming in and using their clubbers to break all our windscreens. Is that really necessary?
Let me tell you something.
We are going back into a police force. And I want Kenyans to know that we have a police service. You know, even the actions of the OSPD of Nairobi, even the action of IG, these are things that we are going to debate in Parliament.
As well.
And we are going to revisit them in Parliament and discuss about it.
Let me tell you something, Mheshimiwa, it is your right. If you see something not going the way you want it, it is your right to revisit it. But you do it according to the law.
Okay. Let's leave it there. We have not even gotten to the speech just yet. We hope to do so in the last part of the show. This is Sidebar. We're going to take a quick break. Told Kenyans to be their brother's keeper. He also said, I will be the president of all Kenyans, those that voted for me and those who did not vote for me. And he reached out to the leaders across the political divide. Ledama, what is your reaction to that conciliatory tone of the president's speech?
I think one thing that I have to say is that as a country, as a young democracy, we care about this country so much. And it is good for people to talk. It is for people to talk. We made it very clear that the kind of conversation we wanted to put on the table is how we're going to have a free and fair election. One, in terms of talking, we're happy to talk about that. But it is quite difficult for us to talk about other things when we still don't recognize this presidency. That is issue number one. Issue number two is that we know the president talked about a lot of promises. We have issues with that. I personally have a lot of issues with that. There's so many things which were not accomplished during the first term. There's so many promises which were never delivered. You know, how will I trust Uhuru to deliver on his second term, which I currently do not, subscribe to it, yet he never delivered in the first term. So those are things that I'm questioning. But whether we should talk, I actually agree. We should talk. And let's talk about how we're going to really respect these institutions. How are we going to have a free and fair election? Because I think it will be important for posterity that in this country, we can be able to live peacefully. That's number one. There's no reason as to where we should be fighting. Okay. I do not agree with that. But let us talk. Let us give these institutions the freedom for them to do their work without being influenced in any way. Okay.
The president indicated, Honorable Wambugu, that he is open to dialogue. And the Americans, in congratulating him today, also said there's need for a broad-based dialogue. How does he intend to unite the country when it's been so divisive over this 123 days?
Thank you, Larry. Before I go into that, one very, very quickly. My brother, Mheshimiwa Kina, has said that he doesn't see what President did. I just want to read for him very quickly the things that were done in Narok in the first term. 31,516 households were connected to electricity, 567 schools, public lighting, Old Mulot, Narok Town, and Modekir. Laptops, 32,000 units were given to 572 schools.
In Narok?
Title deeds, 24,000 were given. Let me finish. Narok Stadium was handed over. It's actually the only place that is, and then we have Narok water supply. So, and if you want to, and you can talk to Governor Nai.
No, I know Narok. Like
my brother,
my hand.
Anyway.
So let me respond to that because I won't let
really
you
quickly
get away with that. Let me tell you, that issue of electricity, I can tell you, if you go to a place called Koben right now, you will find electric posts being brought there with a transformer which has died. So you guys, what you did is that you actually got a tunnel for money because all those projects were never delivered. They were half-baked.
Number two, so that because you had already said your part, and I was going into mine. I just wanted to make that point. And you have, you're the senator of Narok. I expect that even for the sake of being a NASA member of parliament, you're not going to beat down development for your people for the sake of saying it. Yes. Not. Second point, Larry has asked about division. One of the things we need to understand, elections are naturally divisive. In fact, the reason the Constitution says that the president must get 50.1 50% plus one,
yes.
is because they understand the Constitution envisioned that 49% of the people will not vote for you. So by the time you're done running for president, you're going to have half of the country not behind you. And the first thing you then do is start bringing the country together. And that is what the president has said he's going to do. And the thing about dialogue, what we must understand is that dialogue is not about speaking to individuals. It's not that I reach out and speak to Kina, then because I've spoken to him, I've spoken to the Maasai. No, it's about actually going to the ground and speaking to those guys who elected you and asking them, what do you want me to do for you? I am the president. You might not have voted for me as president, but today, the same way some guys didn't vote for you for Senate, but you're the senator of all the people of Narok County. The people who voted for you and the people who did not vote for you. You're supposed to deliver services to all of them. That's what the president is saying. And if there are people who didn't vote for you, there's a village, there's a clan that didn't vote for you, you're going to go and reach out to the clan. You're going to speak to them. That's what the dialogue that the president is speaking about.
The president said he was putting the public service on notice. Every shilling must be accounted for. Greater fiscal accountability. However, his speech did not use the word corruption, not even once.
Yes.
When his last term was criticized for having been corrupt in many ways, in terms he had to let go of some ministers, etc. That doesn't talk to the corruption agenda going forward.
But you just answered the question, because the fact that the speech did not have the word corruption, while he spoke about the fact that every shilling, every tax shilling is going to have to be accounted for. That's exactly what he's talking about. He talked about integrity. He talked about the fact that we have to work within the limits of the law. He talked about putting the public servants on notice and telling them, we expect you to deliver to the people of Kenya. The money we give you must actually be accounted for to the last shilling. Now, if you do that, then you're dealing with corruption. The problem with this country is that we use corruption. In fact, we have been unable to actually define corruption. Why? And that's why you need to deal with it. My brother, we haven't been able, we have corruption.
Larry,
I want you to respond in a minute because I've only got a minute left.
Larry, I can tell you this. These are just sideshows. The entire country was entertained by this issue of it's not my fault. You know, what else do you guys want me to do? Uhuru Kenyatta will never talk about corruption. He will not talk about corruption because he told us as a country that, hey, you know what? I gave the anti-corruption money for them to do. I gave the DPP money. I gave everyone else money. So this issue of corruption, there's no single time that Uhuru will ever talk about corruption.
Okay.
The other thing,
Finally,
which I must say this, is that Ngunjiri, I'm actually shocked. I don't know whether you've looked at the audit reports of the majority of counties that Jubilee,
actually,
including Narok.
NASA.
Including Narok. In fact, if you haven't, I welcome you to go to my website. It's naroksenate.co.ke and download it. You will be shocked.
Okay.
Okay? We do not have a fiduciary responsibility when it comes to the issues of these monies being accounted for. So I'm surprised. I'm still waiting to see how Uhuru is actually going.
You're a senator now.
Don't worry, and I'm doing my job very well.
Okay.
Yes. And the best part about this, and this is one of the messages I really want NASA to carry home. We have places to do these things.
Okay.
You have the Senate. If you have a problem with the fiduciary responsibility of your governor,
all right,
you're in the right place to do something
about it.
Okay,
gentlemen, I have to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming in. Ngunjiri, Wambugu, and Ledama, Kina.